Well, hello, and thank you for joining me for another iTWire video with top international executives. Today I have with me Kent Savage. He is the CEO and chairman of US-based Apex Supply Chain Technologies. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So, for those who don't know, could you please tell us what Apex Supply Chain Technologies does? Clearly the name gives a bit of an indication, but how long you've been in operation and what was the catalyst for starting the company?
Sure. Well, we just celebrated our 9th birthday a couple of weeks ago, and it's a very exciting time for us because we've developed a worldwide following. We have over 15,000 corporate clients in 42 countries on 6 continents.
Wow.
Every day we process millions of transactions, and we do this in a cloud-based solution, and I'll explain a little bit more about that. We call it Trajectory Cloud, or the Trajectory Cloud. We've done over 3 billion secure transactions on the Trajectory Cloud. Now, what we do is really broken down into a couple of buckets. We serve industrial users, and we provide materials, parts, supplies, critical needs to the workers that need them at their point of use. So rather than going to a supply room or a tool crib, we provide automated devices, and some of those devices look like vending machines, some look like lockers, some are open bins, some are other types of devices. All are connected to the Trajectory Cloud. So the Trajectory Cloud can decide who gets what and what quantities they should have, and it monitors what's been used, so we can analyze that for quality purposes, for safety purposes, and most importantly, connects back to their suppliers for automated replenishment. Now, we also are finding this technology is very valuable and useful in terms of managing assets, critical parts and tools that are needed to do various jobs in the mining industry. It might be tools in the retail environment or in a distribution center. It might be critical handheld devices, scanners, label printers, and headsets, radios, and such, but all related to the criticality of doing a particular job. Sure. Then that information can be transmitted all the way up the supply chain, so you eliminate all the steps in between, all the inventory in between the end user and the original source, and the paperwork and the costs that go along with reordering can be automated as well.
It sounds like the ultimate cloud-based 21st century rendition of that whole just-in-time concept.
Yeah, it is, and it allows us to eliminate a lot of the inefficient manual processes and inventory that have historically been necessary. So it's very streamlined, very, very efficient.
Now, about a month ago, you were in Australia to launch your APAC and Sydney office, and you were providing global insights on business leaders using smart technologies to power the supply chain efficiency in the manner you've described. Can you tell us what else you spoke about at the conference and some of the customers that were there?
Well, we talked about the technology for sure. We talked about how we're committed to the Asia-Pacific market in Australia. Sydney is our base, but Australia particularly is a jumping off point. We already have a number of customers there. And we also talked about some interesting trends. There's been a bit of worry in the economy around the world and in Australia in particular. But sometimes that actually heightens the need for our technology because we help companies, we help our clients to save costs and to increase productivity. So if you take the mining industry as an example, clearly it's a little bit slower now, but when things are coming out of the ground as fast as they can get them out, the costs are not the issue, the production rate is the issue. Now, saving money and being efficient and being profitable becomes the issue, so our technology becomes very important. And that was really one of the topics that we discussed. Also in the transportation logistics industries, cost savings becomes paramount today, and that's really one of the topics that we discussed.
Sure. Any other trends you want to mention in addition to what other new technologies are revolutionizing your customers' experience?
Well, you know, the whole movement towards mobile information, smartphones and tablets, really rises to the top.
Sure.
The ability to put a lot of information anywhere you need it, they have a user interface in your hand, have that information in real time, and we've benefited from this whole trend and this whole thing we call Internet of Things because we were doing a lot of real time processing of transactions even before the internet, before the internet became widely used and,
Sure.
and popular as it is today. But now the ability to see that data, to visualize that data, to have interfaces in your hand, that mobility is really moving so fast that I don't know anybody can really measure it and quantify it, the speed at which it's being adopted.
Sure, no, it's phenomenal. We're on that J curve, and we're up on that upper. It's just we still have so much of that J curve going up ahead of us. That I mean, I like to remind people that when it comes to modern technology, we're still in the black and white era. With the future is still, there's such a bright future ahead of us. Still, I don't know if we can truly imagine how much better it's going to become. But I mean, in that vein, you yourselves saw that by developing your own Internet of Things style solution long before it became a buzzword. And I mean, clearly you were thinking ahead.
Well, we were, but some of it was just being in the right place at the right time. We were focused on the point of use automation. We were moving a lot of data, but we had old, antiquated ways to do it. When I first started automating devices, we were using DOS-based vending machines,
Yeah.
DOS-based computers hooked to the vending machines, and they were hardwired. So now we have wireless technology. We have the internet to move the data throughout the supply chain. We have all the analytics and business intelligence tools that can provide visual decision support. They can put the data anywhere you want. They can provide very complex analyses, but make them simple and easy for users to understand the patterns and to understand what it is that the data means. And that's all been fortuitous, but we've been in the right place. There's also some other very interesting applications, and really our world is not about the pure science of all this. It's about finding applications that have real value to our customers, our business customers and their end users. And now we're moving very quickly into retail. So as e-commerce has evolved, we're starting to see some very interesting opportunities in this whole click and collect space. Many retailers are offering buy online, pick up in store type click and collect offerings, but the online piece is elegant. The pickup is not so elegant. You have to still wait in a customer service counter, sometimes go to the back of the store. So we're taking our same locker technology that we've been developing over the past several years for industrial purposes and repositioning it and adding elegant front ends and mobile apps to the front of it to allow customers to be able to get their packages 24/7, to pick them up quickly and easily without waiting in a queue line. And that now completes this e-commerce chain and really positions us very well to ride the click and collect wave, if you will.
And is that one of the lockers we're seeing on our left, but to your right? That's the orange locker there?
Yes, those are what we call our anywhere lockers. And so those are being placed inside retailers and actually outside retailers in a remote site so that consumers can order. And what you're seeing here in the frame are one configuration. We make them in many different sizes and
Sure.
shapes. So depending on what type of products and what size are necessary, we can configure them very easily for a particular user.
Yeah, in Australia we have eBay having done a deal with one of the major supermarkets for a click and collect service, so that you could buy something from eBay and then pick it up from the local supermarket. How long have you been offering your lockers to the retailers to install and
It's really a trend that started, Alex, over the last year, but we're seeing the pace pick up. Maybe the early rumbling started 18 months ago, but
Sure.
the last year it's picked up, and now we're seeing it in Europe, we're seeing it in the United States, and we're seeing it certainly in Asia Pacific.
And if you're able to say, I mean, are you working with eBays or at similar large retailers?
Well, we're working with some of the largest e-tailers, so you can imagine who those are,
Sure.
and some of the largest retailers, and many, many others that I can't quite name that
Sure.
are about to come out of the ground.
Yeah, no, well, I'm sure we could be talking about those when you're ready to talk about them. Anything else you'd like to tell us about your trajectory system and how it has developed over the past 9 years, and how it helps you to compete more effectively against your competitors, and as well as how it allows you to already have the framework to use some of these new Internet of Things sensors that must be all vying for your attention as people try to integrate their sensors with your technology.
Well, we do. We use sensors very heavily in our systems, inside of physical devices and inside of virtual devices. So you can create a virtual space just as well as you can create a physical space. In one of our devices, for example, we have four weight sensors on a platform that allows us to count items that are removed from that space using decrements of the weight.
Wow.
And in each of those weight sensors, we take 1,000 data samples per second. So you can imagine the amount of data that generates, but we then filter that and have some very clever algorithms that allow us to get meaning from it. And now can we read very precisely, push all that data up through the internet, know what needs to be replenished, what's been used, who used it, when they used it, all of those kind of things.
And that must also be helping to alert you or your customers to theft that might be happening along the supply chain, where distributors or drivers or people who aren't supposed to be fiddling with the product might be stealing things from within shipments.
Well, shrinkage is always a concern. But one of the beauties that we bring is we control access to a space, whether that be in a rolling vehicle or in a machine. So we know who gets in, we know what they take. So that provides control and it provides accountability. When you have accountability, now a lot of those games, if you will, go away. We also have the ability to marry other technologies such as visual observation, cameras and such, to allow us to put more accountability and know in real time. That, coupled with what's already embedded in Trajectory, the ability to have real-time tracking and alerts, we can know what should happen, what shouldn't happen, and alert the right people. So when that's known throughout the supply chain, a lot of the shrinkage goes away.
Sure.
And this is actually, with asset management, we take it down to flat zero.
Wow. I mean, that sounds extremely sophisticated, and it's clearly an example of the way that you're creating real value from large quantities of data rather than simply large quantities of data.
Well, we think so, and really the way that we measure our value is through our customers. That it's great if we think it's valuable, but when we're able to attract a customer base, and I want to go back to where we started at the beginning of this interview, we had no customers 9 years ago, and now we have well over 15,000 corporate customers. We've deployed almost 75,000 devices in 42 countries on 6 continents. Many of them are Fortune 500 companies. Well over 300 of the Fortune 1,000 have adopted our technology and continue to adopt it month after month after month. They add more and more of it. So that gets us excited because it tells us we're providing a service of value that they see and they appreciate. They see the productivity, they see the cost savings, and that just charges us to go even further.
Sure, absolutely. So how do you think the supply chain market or industry will look like in 5 to 10 years' time, looking in the crystal ball?
Well, just as many other industries have moved to automation, I point to banking as a great proxy for what we see in the supply chain. 15 years ago, most people still walked up to a teller to do even the simplest transactions. You wrote checks to pay your bills. A lot of that still exists in small measure, but it's moved very quickly to ATM machines, and now cash is going away. Mobile payments and other forms of electronic payment and automatic payment are automating the banking system. The exact same principles are going to be modifying the supply chain, and that's really what we're doing.
Sure, absolutely. So I like to always ask the people I'm interviewing if they could please share the best piece of advice they've ever received to help them get to where they are today.
Well, I wish I could single out one thing, and I guess I will, which really comes from, I think, Winston Churchill. Others have been cited with this too, but it's never, never, never give up.
That's excellent advice, always excellent advice. And are there any final messages you'd like to share with iTWire viewers and readers, and to your current and your future customers?
Well, Alex, you kind of touched on it a little bit when you were talking about the J curve. Charles Dickens said it was the best of times, it was the worst of times.
Yeah.
And I know many people are concerned about economies and about the geopolitical situations today, and those are true concerns that one shouldn't just blow off. But this is a very exciting time. Anyone that's in and around technology has so many possibilities in front of them, and that's what we see. We see this as a very exciting future. Our opportunities have never been bigger. They've never been closer.
Kent. That sounds extremely fascinating and interesting. I look forward to being the customer of some of the people that you are. I probably already am the customer of people that you are helping with their supply chains. And so thank you very much for taking the time today, and I hope we can talk again in the future.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much.